Well, good afternoon, my Teaserking family. How's everybody today? Here's our good news. Look at gold, 36.41. I keep wanting to write 33 or 35, and I was like, no, we're at 36. We're on its way to 4,000 to 5,000 to 10,000. Silver, 41.15. We need that to finally get into the 45s and break that. I hope everybody is well today. Sorry, I'm on a little later. I am on vacation, so well, actually, I should say I'm never on vacation. Always football to steady. To my Daria. All right, so college football. I've been studying this with the numbers, with the quarterbacks, and I'll walk you through what I'm studying and how I'm studying it because that's more important. If I teach you how to fish instead of just my here's my elbow's been really tender here, so I haven't been able to really shampoo because I can't lift my arm up to do it. 36.42 and 41.15. Happy days. All right, so what am I looking for? We're looking for the good A teams against the Z team, so we have to figure those out. We're looking for the good quarterbacks. We're looking for the good, the good defenses. What do we have? And there's many ways to analyze the games, of course. So I look at all the different angles to come up with the games. So I given you the free pick, which was USC 15 over Purdue. And I watched the Purdue game on the Big Ten Network yesterday. The Purdue Southern Illinois game. And I'll tell you, Southern Illinois, boom, 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 march right down the field with a good quarterback. And I'm thinking, man, USC's going to, if Southern Illinois is doing this, Purdue has a pretty good offense in its own right. So I think this could be a double play, but we're gonna play the USC angle. USC will just light them up. Purdue doesn't have good defense. Their quarterback's okay; they'll score some points, but I'm not sure. It's maybe more prudent to play this game over than to play USC. So I'll kind of give you a double free pick. At 58, USC to get 52 might just do it by themselves, and looks like Purdue will be capable of with a good quarterback Brown to score enough points to put up 20 on their own and watch USC put up 40, and we get to all we need is 52. So I think it's a double free pick I'll give you. So USC minus 15, and I think I like the over more as I watch the Southern Illinois. And that's the problem. When you just look at it, Purdue's got an 8 defense. Well, they played Ball State or something. They won 31-0, who I don't think scored yet. But then when you look at Southern Illinois putting up 17 on them, but the pretty decent offense, then you go, yeah, USC's going to, so Purdue could score on USC. I don't think a lot, but I think you're going to see USC going up and down the field and probably covering and then probably going over also. I think they're both good bets. Those are your free play. I've already got a lock posted. Can't tell you what it is, but I've already found it. I'm looking at strong quarterbacks. Obviously, I'm looking, as I've always done, Van Dyke and Cam Rising. That's why you get upset when they get hurt. It's it's the locks, all the money we could make on Van Dyke and Rising. Van Dyke's hurt. His knee's hurt. He's on SMU. I don't know if he's going to play again. I assume he will if he's on SMU. But he'll be a big addition on a team like SMU. He'll really light it up. But you get the knee injury, and I saw it. Alabama did it to him, and you have that revenge game. So let's go through the lines, which is what I was doing. So I'm not even going to use this. I'm going to use my notes, my page, and go through them. So we've got NC State 751, down from 50. There's a lot of line movements I see. 7 down from 54 to 51 against Wake Forest. NC State's an E team. Wake Forest is a B team. But early in the year, it's who do they play? When they're playing high school teams, that's why I had to look at Purdue. If I didn't look at the high school game, which actually is helping us, they played like Ball State or I think the first week was 31-0, and you get a flavor of them. They got a good defense. And even when you take the average, and they got an 8 defense, really, against Southern Illinois, it was they gave up 17 points. So I'm more looking at Purdue as a 17 defense than an 8.5 based on who they played. And against USC, it'll be a 28 defense when they get done with them. Colorado, Houston 5-43. We'll go through injuries after. Houston with the 4 defense, really just playing Rice is it. So it's really a 0 defense, I guess. We know they have a good defense with Willie Frisk. Colorado with the 17 defense. Didn't really struggle much with Delaware. They got their asses kicked by Georgia Tech. Heinz King is questionable. Well, he's not. He's questionable, but I think he'll play with a lower body injury, whatever that is. So we will see. But Houston at home, laying the 5, killing Rice. Colorado, okay, they beat Delaware. I think Houston, I don't think they have a chance in this game. Houston's very strong defense. Hey, David. K-State now is a 1.5 point favorite over Arizona. K-State with the 28 defense. Again, we saw them lose to Iowa State. We saw them almost lose to North Dakota, and my Army team beat them last week. Arizona's been playing well, but haven't played anybody, so this will be a good test. I think Arizona's a live dog in this game. You can't look at the 4 defense because that's against, I think, Northern Arizona and some other shit team. They got 434 in offense. See, this is where it's very difficult because you have that. Hey, Titus, you looking for 10, Titus? You can make you this week I could make you 25,000 very easily. I got college all over the place. Pros, I went from I think I have one game to about 8 or 9 that once you look at the stats and you look at the teams, you can figure out the games, which is really incredible because I kind of think I have the team figured out until I look at the stats. Then I go, no, I don't have it figured out. The free play in the pros is Cincinnati laying only, I think it's 2.5. Against Jacksonville. That's a joke. They're not going to lose to Jacksonville. Now, here's where you get tough. Since he plays Cleveland, and Cleveland has held them to 190 yards. They didn't even get 200 yards in offense against Cleveland. Now, was it week 1 bullshit off of the preseason? Not really. They played in the preseason. Joe Burrow played into the second quarter in the second preseason game. I saw a lot of his passes. They just had Chase covered, and he threw it out of bounds. 17-16. They had 17-16 in the middle of the third quarter in the game, and it stuck, and the guy missed a field goal for Cleveland. But That's why locks win, but that's okay. It's week one. Now you got week two, and who did Jacksonville beat? Carolina. So it's almost like playing a high school team. So I like Cincy there. We know they're going to start strong. They're at home. We know Jacksonville sucks. Jacksonville had a lot of running yards, which they're not going to do. Hendrickson is playing. I saw him out there. And you're not holding Burrow and Chase down 2 weeks in a row, especially Jacksonville. And I don't care if that Colorado guy plays defense this time. You're not good luck guarding Chase. Titus, I need you to email me. Don't you have my email? Just go to teaserking.com on the homepage is my email. Or did you email me and you're waiting for a response? But yeah, this should be a pretty big week for you, Titus. So the free pick is Cincinnati beating Jacksonville because Cincinnati is much better than Jacksonville. Also, the teams like the Giants, are they going to be this bad? You got Russell Wilson and Scatterboo and Neighbors, and they're going to get shut out. Was it because Washington's defense is great, or was it because they didn't play well because they haven't played together? And the same with Cincinnati. Was Cleveland's defense that great that they held them to 190 yards, or was it just bad play calling? I don't really like Cincinnati's coach. I think with a better coach, Cincinnati would be in the Super Bowl a lot more with Chase and Burrow. It's unfortunate, but I don't love the coach. He did take him to the Super Bowl, so he gets okay on that. But I mean, that's crazy. His defense sucks. Going to Vegas this weekend, not for the fight, but for the professor's picks. All right. That's fine, Titus. Yeah, we can work on something. So I'll email you if you don't have my email, but sounds good. David, I think it's just first week one starting slow. Well, that's the question. Did Cleveland find a defense and did Washington find a defense? And that's what we're trying to understand. Is Washington now an A team? Or are they still an over team? And is Cleveland all of a sudden this great defensive team? But I don't buy the week one on Cincinnati. They played in the preseason. I think Cleveland, maybe Myles Garrett and company and the secondary covered well, is maybe just a very good defensive team. They'll get a new kicker soon. And then Joe Flacco, I don't know. But then is Cincinnati's defense good? They held them to 14 points. What was it, 15-14 or something like that? 17-16. But they held Cleveland down with Flacco. So these are good questions that we'll figure out after possibly this week. We got some very good matchups. But anyway, let's go back to college. So, Houston, Colorado in Houston. They beat Rice, so you give them credit for that. Okay. New Mexico, UCLA. UCLA 16-52. UCLA with the 37 defense. Oof. They're not too good. New Mexico played Michigan well. I don't know how good Michigan is. I don't know how good Oklahoma is. 315 yards for New Mexico and only 324 for UCLA. It's a big number, UCLA laying 16, but I don't think New Mexico's really got enough. They're an E team with the 28 defense, but UCLA, the 37, they're a W team in conference. And this is where you've got are you in conference or are you out of conference? And here UCLA gets New Mexico, not Penn State or Ohio State. All right, Saturdays. So that was Thursday, Friday. Thursday's North Carolina State, Wake Forest, 751. We kind of talked about pretty even, 400 yards of offense. I really have no feel on it. I don't know the team yet. That's when you play the high school team week one or week two, and then you don't really play a good team, and you really have no feel. We'll have a better feel after Thursday. I just gave you Friday's games, Saturday's games. Okay, Alabama, 21-47 to Wisconsin. I don't know. Wisconsin played a high school team, and then they beat somebody pretty good. Well, no, I don't think they played a high school team. They played two kind of weak MAC teams. They played Miami of Ohio 17-0, and then last week was a big one. Alabama, I don't know. They looked shitty against Florida State. Then 70 on, I mean, who was that last week? Fucking Bama, where are they? 73-0 over Lou Monroe. And Lou Monroe is not a very good team. 70 because they were frustrated and wanted to score. Now you get them in a real game with Wisconsin. Wisconsin with the 5 defense, I don't know. And then Alabama with the 15 defense because Florida State ran down their throats. Wisconsin, I don't think, has a running quarterback. And is that really going to be the problem, running quarterbacks to Alabama? 390 yards, 361 for Alabama. Statistically, they're a B team. Was Florida, and this is where you get into it, was Florida State a fluke? Was week 1? Or Florida State's that good and Alabama just is missing something? But I don't know. I have a feeling Alabama is going to beat the shit out of them. But I don't know enough to jump on Alabama right now. And it's 21, and Wisconsin's a good team. They're not great, but they're always good. Buffalo 22-50 to Kent. Kent is a Z team with a 40 defense. Buffalo is a B team with a 14. Buffalo gets 327 yards, and here's why Kent's a Z team. They get 197 yards of offense. Kent probably won't score much in this game, and the question is, Buffalo, are they explosive enough to put up a 35? That's what you're hoping for against the Z teams. You want an over team or an A team who's going to put up 35, 40. You give up 10, and you cover here. You just got to cover 16. Oregon, Northwestern, Oregon 28, 8 defense. Northwestern a 15 defense. 522 yards for Oregon. Northwestern 382. Total of 49. Again, Oregon seems to score more at home. There's a 28. They got to fly to the Midwest, not all the way to the East Coast. Northwestern is an under team. Pretty much they're not scoring, but their defense, but they haven't really played anybody. Tulane beat them by 20 last week, or the first week, I think. It's a big number. Oregon definitely wins the game, probably by at least 20. But the 28, Northwestern's still a Big Ten team. It'll be close to that number, I think. Central Michigan. Central's a W with the 29 defense, 211 total yards. But Michigan's an under team with the 20 defense and only 370 yards. It's not like I'm watching the new quarterback and I'm like, I don't think so. He's not ready. He should not be out there right now. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know when to get off a play. He's not running. He's just going back in the pocket. And if they pressure him, he can't handle it. So it's not maybe where he'll be in next year when they'll be scoring 40 a game. He looks okay. He makes some good passes. Didn't do much against Oklahoma. So I don't know. We did enough to cover, but that was the one guy scoring on a 75-yard run. He didn't really do much. I expect him at the 29 defense of Central to score a little bit more. He should be getting more comfortable. To me, Michigan probably shuts them out, I think. So total of 42. Yeah, I don't think it's getting there. And I don't think Michigan's just going to put up a 50 either. Central does have a bad defense at 29, so we'll see. Oklahoma Temple. What do we know about Oklahoma? They beat Michigan by 11. Was it 24-13? They're a B team, 8 defense, and 450 yards of offense. Temple's an A team now, but they haven't played anybody. But they've got the new coach, and they are scoring much more. 471 yards. So this is not the same Z Temple team. This is why we do the stats, and this is why we learn. And the team is not a Z team. I'm half thinking of taking Temple. The spread's 22. I get 28. But Oklahoma runs a fast break offense like in basketball. I don't know. Are they going to be a little bit flat after beating Michigan? I don't know. But Michigan isn't that good. I think Oklahoma, Temple might keep the game fairly close. I don't think they'll win. I think, can they lose by 20? Yeah, I think they can score enough. Oklahoma with the defense. Their offense, Mateer, it's all Mateer. There's no running back. He kind of runs way too much because if he gets injured, they're screwed. And then he's a pretty good passer, but he's all sidearm. It's really strange. So I don't know. I don't really know how good Temple is. I know they're good, but they're good in conference. We don't want to start fucking with Temple against Oklahoma. That's when you get in trouble. So I would say stay away, but I can't take Oklahoma here. Temple's getting a little bit too good too quickly. They have a good quarterback, so I'm laying away from templing it. Clemson, Georgia Tech. Clemson's down to 452. Haynes King has a lower body injury, but he's questionable, not doubtful. And the line's going down from 5 to 4 on Georgia Tech. So I would think King's is fine. I looked at the history. Clemson always wins this game. The last 10 they've won. It's just a bad matchup for Georgia Tech. They're probably too fast for Haynes King running. 645 yards for Georgia Tech. And Clemson only 289. Now they played LSU, but then they played some shit team last week and they barely won. They were struggling with Troy. They won 27-16 over Troy. I should not have been flat. They lost to LSU. And is Klubnik any good? He looks like shit. Georgia Tech with Haynes King. I think Georgia Tech stays in this one, but I don't. I got to get comfortable with King's. Again, he's just questionable. He'll probably play. Last week, the Virginia quarterback was questionable at the shoulder. He played fine. It's 217 defenses, but Clemson with only 289 yards offense and no running, and Georgia Tech with King, and that makes all the difference. 645 yards of offense, and most of that was against Colorado, right? They beat Prime. Prime was out there. He played a little cornerback, I saw. Memphis and Troy. Memphis 451. Memphis an 18 with a 30 defense, and Troy's an 18 with a 24. 400 yards offense. Memphis, Troy 360, although Troy did play Clemson close. This game I'm staying away from. I don't like Memphis. South Alabama, Auburn an 18, 13 defense, 445 yards. South Alabama an over with 27 defense, 390 yards of offense. South Alabama has Major Applewhite as their coach, who's a very good offensive coordinator. They score a lot of points. They played Tulane 33-31. Tulane's no pushover, as we know. Auburn has the guy Jackson Arnold from Oklahoma, and with Hugh Freeze, he's running all over the place. He's like Jackson Dart last year. He just runs and scores, and nobody's seeing but Hugh Freeze runs the beautiful offense that gives him these gaping holes, and he just 50 yards and a touchdown. So, I'm not sure. I think the number's high for South Alabama. I think South Alabama can score on them. They get 400 yards. Auburn gets 450. I think they can score on them, but I think Auburn probably wins comfortably, but there should be a lot of points in the game. UConn and Delaware. UConn's an 18. They found a quarterback. They are scoring. 20 defense, 450 yards a game. Old D. It's Delaware. I don't think it's Old D. No, it's Delaware. team of 24 defense. We saw them go to Colorado and get killed. UConn's for real this year, and they're only laying 10. I think this is a good UConn spot. They're playing Delaware, not Oregon or Georgia or something. They will score on them. And Delaware, we don't know. Again, that was against Colorado. They didn't do much here. They're UConn with the 20 defense. So we'll see. Washington State, North Texas. We love North Texas. Great offense, great coach. Quarterback went to Virginia, so we don't, they got the new quarterback. They got a 15 defense. Washington State's an under team at the 12. So basically, Washington State, 300 yards of offense. North Texas, 430. Total on the game is 58. So it's North Texas, 5.5, 58. I don't know who Washington State is. They're not, Mateer went to Oklahoma with the offensive coordinator. So it's in flux. I swear, you got to worry more about the coordinators switching teams than anything else. I mean, look at the Lions. Their new offensive coordinator sucks. And I'm not sure their new defensive coordinator is any good. They look like shit. I mean, everybody knows their plays now, and the guy doesn't know what he's doing to change them. Oh, but they're going to run Gibbs to the left, and half of Green Bay's team was waiting for him. And then here's Micah Parsons on the other side. So if he wants to do that stupid rollout, he was waiting for him. Everybody knows the Lions are just running the ball left, and everybody's waiting. I loved it. Can he figure out a new offense? Which is no. I doubt he knows a new offense. David, you think the Raiders got a chance against the Chargers? UConn is good this year. Yes, UConn's very good this year. So North Texas, can we take them to beat Washington State? Again, I hate this out of conference into a better, against a better team. Maybe. I don't know. It should be a close game. North Texas could win, but it's not like them playing, Ball State or something. SMU, Missouri State, SMU 28. They're an over team with the 30 defense, but they just got done playing Baylor. Missouri State's a B with a 19. How can they have a 19? They played USC, put up 70 on them. Even if there's this shutout, it's 35. Missouri State. What the hell's going on here? This makes no sense. There's a fly in the ointment. It's Missouri State, but their defense they gave up 73 and then 20. They beat Marshall, so that's 90. That's a 45 defense. I'm going to have to check my spreadsheet. There's no way that's a 17. And they beat Marshall 21-20. So I don't know where I'm getting 19. I will check. Maybe it was 49. I got 45. All right, that's more like it. SMU should have a field day like USC did on them. I don't see much of an offense from Missouri State. 401, 430 for SMU. SMU should pound them like USC did. I really don't see a difference. It's not like Missouri State beating Marshall. I mean, we could beat Marshall. All right. Oregon, Texas Tech. Texas Tech 24. Oregon State. Texas Tech 24-62 total. Texas Tech's an A team with the 10 defense, and Oregon State's an over with the 35. Oregon State gets 400 yards a game. Texas Tech 500, and they've had two blowouts, one against a high school team. So this is the problem. They're beating weak teams. I do like Morton, their quarterback. This is what we want. We want Oregon State with the 35 defense. We've got Texas Tech explosive team going against a 35 defense. They should kill them. Oregon State, not a very good, well, they're an over team, but probably they got a high school team in there. Let's see who Oregon State beat. Let's see. I probably passed it up. See, the key is, who did they beat? Is it okay? Oregon State. We know Texas Tech didn't really beat any. They didn't beat Baylor. They didn't beat any of those. Oregon State. Okay, they lost to Cal 34-15 and lost to Fresno State 36-27. And now they get Texas Tech. So they actually played two good teams. Gave up 35 points, which is exactly what I got. You give up 36 to Fresno and 34 to Cal, but then they're not scoring 15 and then a 27 on Fresno State. Yeah, so they're kind of a weak over team. They're not really an over team. They average 42. They average 21 a game, so it's really kind of not an over team. I don't think their quarterback's all that. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure what they got. So, yeah, I could see Texas Tech pounding them here. 24 is not too bad of a spread there. David. Okay, nothing new. Georgia, Tennessee. Georgia down to 3.5 and 50. I looked at the history of this. The last 10 years, Georgia wins every game. Georgia's defense, that's why you take defense over offense. Tennessee always runs this high-flying Josh Heupel offense, but Georgia just pressures the quarterback. They got too much speed. They got too good of a defense. Tennessee doesn't have a chance in the game. So Georgia's going to win the game. Both teams are A teams. Georgia with the 6 defense. They're starting that again. Tennessee with the 21 defense. Tennessee's balanced with 520 and Joey Aguilar. Georgia's 423. But again, Tennessee hasn't seen anything like this yet. Or Joey Aguilar for sure hasn't. Possible under. It's hard to play Georgia, but Georgia will win the game. So it's kind of like, oh, I get 2.5. You can probably go either way on that one, but Georgia defense owns offense 100% of the time. The fact it's in Tennessee doesn't really matter. All right, we talked about USC, Purdue, USC 21-58.5. The free game, you can go one of two ways. You can take USC down to 15, or you can go over 52. Either way, I'm probably betting it both ways, probably a little more on the over after I've watched the Purdue Southern Illinois game. And then I said, yeah, Southern Illinois didn't have much of a problem moving it. I'm sure USC won't. I like Maivia, the quarterback. He's really good. All right, Pitt, West Virginia, rivalry game. Pitt is now up to 7-57. Pitt with a 13 defense. And West Virginia 10. They handled Central Michigan, who played San Jose State. Then San Jose State didn't look very good last week. West Virginia lost to Ohio. Pitt, the better team here. 400 yards of offense versus 434. But it's a rivalry game. It's at West Virginia. So it's a little bit tricky. Iowa State, 21-55, an A team, a 14 defense, 350 total yards a game, and they did beat Iowa last week. Arkansas State, an over team with a 40 defense, 385 yards. I don't buy that Iowa State will be flat because they beat Iowa last week. I think they got Arkansas State, and it's a question of they always have a good defense, Iowa State. It's Rocco Beck. If he has a good game, they'll kill him. And if he starts throwing his interceptions, they're going to have a long day. So let's hope he doesn't. But they're laying 21 at Arkansas State. It's a tough spot for him after the Iowa win in final play field goal, right? They'll be a little flat, but I think they'll be all right. Lou Lafayette, Missouri. Missouri, 24-48. Missouri's an A team. 18 defense, and they beat my Kansas team. Forget that they beat them by 12. They beat them by 5, and then they scored late on we're running the ball up the middle, and the guy happened to go 75 yards, 2 minutes left in the game. Lou Lafayette, an under team with the 12 defense. Their quarterback's out, Howard. He was a backup at LSU. 320 yards of offense. Missouri with 550 yards of offense. Will Missouri be flat after Kansas? I doubt it. And this quarterback looks really good. Keep your eye on Missouri this year. We'll be betting them a lot. And, they're in the SEC. I think they can handle Texas. Alabama. I don't know if they can handle Georgia. It's just too tough with the defense. But Missouri's got a pretty good defense. I like their coach, Eli Drinkowitz. He's pretty good. So keep your eye on that. All right. UTEP and Texas with Arch Manning. I would rather have this Missouri quarterback, Dagiopava. We can go on the Utah quarterback, the Tulane quarterback. We talked to Andy, the A&M quarterback, the Illinois quarterback, all over Arch Manning. I mean, he's not even in their class. For the Heisman, first pick in the draft, and I just gave you 10 quarterbacks that are Rocco Beck, kid at Missouri. They're all better than him. I don't get it. Oh, his name's Manning, so gives a fuck. Texas is 41-50 over UTEP. UTEP an E team with the 22 defense. Did lose to Utah State. Texas is an under team. They don't score. They scored a lot, but I think that was a high school team they beat last week on 11 defense. They held Ohio State to 14, who has no quarterback either. Good defense for Utah. They're all excited. Arch Manning threw for 5 touchdowns in 5 minutes so they got turnovers. Big deal. What did you do against Ohio State? Oh, yeah, nothing. To me, he's a below average quarterback. He's not ready. He looks like a deer in the headlights. He doesn't look like he's ready. You know who really didn't look like he was ready was Caleb on Monday night. He was kept going to the coaches. What do I do here? What do I do there? He seemed very confused. Again, if they went with Tyler Badgett, as they should have, instead of Caleb, Chicago wins that game easily. Caleb scores on the first series, then they get a pick 6, and that's it. And they score late when he runs it in, and I'm getting tired of these quarterbacks running the ball in from 10 or 15 yards out, and these defensive coordinators act like idiots going, oh, I didn't know he could run. I mean, it's just, they're so stupid. So I don't know. Texas 41. UTEP is a bad team, but Texas gets 393 a game. I don't know. I could take Texas late 41. They didn't cover the 36 or 40 that they had last week. I don't. They're just not a good offense. They got a good defense, so I think under is probably a good play there. Miami, Florida, South Florida. South Florida, a B team, but really an A team. The only reason they're B, they don't score that much, but they beat Boise 24-7, and they beat Florida 17-16 or 16-15. So the bottom line is there should be an A team based on who they beat. Right? You went into the swamp at Florida, and I remember G telling me it's not easy to win in the swamp. And they go in and win it. And now they get Miami, and they are getting 17 points. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry. Who does Miami, what is Bernie Kosar back and Michael Irvin? Are these guys out there? Miami did beat Notre Dame close. Give them credit. But South Florida has an 11 defense, and they played Boise and Florida, and they have an 11 defense. It ain't going to be easy for Miami. 400 yards offense, Miami, 359 for South Florida, and they got a running quarterback who's very tough to handle. Miami, they're not that good. that they can lay 17 to South Florida, who appears to be a playoff team or at least a very good team. I mean, you can't discount beating Boise and winning at Florida. You can't. No, there's nothing you can say that says, "Oh, they're really not that good." Are you kidding me? So, I really like, South Florida getting 17 up to 23. Really? Wow. And they got an 11 defense. It's not like Miami's going to put up a 50 here. This game's going to be close. And I could smell South Florida winning. Yes, they beat Notre Dame, Miami, but with a freshman quarterback, Lloyd Carr's grandson, they beat them because of the quarterback. South Florida's got a good quarterback, Barnes. I mean, he's a running style quarterback, but he can throw. So I don't know. You can win at Florida. You can win at Miami. I mean, it's harder to win at Florida, I would imagine. Live dog, South Florida. Middle Tennessee, Nevada. Middle Tennessee's a Z team. Nevada's a W. 38 defense versus a 31. Middle Tennessee with the 38. 9 and 46 is the number. Nevada favored. 190 of offense for Middle Tennessee, as you would expect from a Z team. Nevada with a 300. So here's our first Z team. Well, our first one was Kent against Buffalo. Central was a W team, and now here's Middle Tennessee is Z. Does Nevada have enough firepower to put up the 35 points needed? Middle Tennessee has no offense and a 38. So Nevada should be able to score on this team. Middle Tennessee, the problem is Nevada with the 31 defense doesn't really help us out too much. So hard to say here with Nevada. I don't love, as much as I love betting against the Z team, I don't love it with the 31 defense. I like it with a more of a good team. So Nevada got killed by Penn State, but playing Penn State should help them here, and they're at home. Liberty against Bowling Green. Liberty 751. They're an E team, 21 defense, 450 yards of offense. Bowling Green, an under team with a 20 defense and the 320. They just don't score, Bowling Green, but a pretty good defense. Liberty should handle them. 21 defense. So they have the offense to do it. But it's a tricky game. Liberty going to Bowling Green, Kentucky, and I've been there. I ate at the Olive Garden there as I was driving through. Florida Atlantic goes against Florida International. Florida International is 157. Florida Atlantic is an over team, 27 defense. Florida International E team with a 21 defense. 404 yards for Florida Atlantic, 339 for Florida International. Total of 57, Dewey Deer. Florida International with the weaker defense, 27 defense. Florida International, an E team, 21 defense. That means they score about 25, somewhere in that area. So are they going to be able to put up 57? Probably. I could see this. All you need is 51 getting there. But again, I watch from afar. I don't want anything to do with it. Jacksonville State versus Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern is the Z team. They got the shit beat out of them by USC, one of our picks last week. They got the shit beat out of them by Fresno State. The Jacksonville State, can they beat the shit out of them? No, they're not good. They're an under team with a 21 defense, 350 yards a game. Georgia Southern is a Z team with 50. They give up 50 points, but again, that's USC putting up 70 of it, and 282 yards of offense. This is the problem. It gets skewed when you play in Ohio State or USC or Georgia, Alabama. It skews you. All of a sudden, you look worse than you are. And again, this is against Jacksonville State. They're not going to give up 50 points in a thing. I don't know. I think Georgia Southern gets the win because they've been embarrassed and they are at home. And, it helps when you play USC and then you get Jacksonville State. You're going, oh, shit, these guys stink. App State, 1.5, 52 to Southern Miss. They're a B team, 12 defense. App State got a good quarterback, 527 yards of offense. Southern Miss, an even team with a 27 defense, 327 yards. But we know they got the Marshall team and the coach and the quarterback who are much better. So they were a Z team. They were the worst team last year. Now they're an E team. I'm waiting. You got to wait for the Marshall to kick in. They've got to, but most of the players, Marshall players, should know what to do. The quarterback looks good. So you're just dealing with, you don't want to really fuck with App State because they are good and they got a good quarterback. Arkansas and Ole Miss, very good game. Both A teams. Ole Miss, 862 in this one. Arkansas with the 10 defense. Mississippi with the 15. Arkansas killed Ark State last week. 538 yards apiece for Ark and Mississippi. This should be points aplenty here. Total 62. If it was in the 50s, I could jump on the over, but 62, I don't know if I can. I don't know what I really got. Mississippi put up 27 on Kentucky. Arkansas, they got to go on the road. Are they going to? I don't like their quarterback turns it over too much. So I'm not sure what to do. We'll have this is we don't know enough. Incomplete data. Illinois, an A team, an 11 defense, 423 yards, goes to Western. Or actually, Western comes to Illinois, a W team, 28 defense and only 188 yards of offense. Illinois should have a ball in this game. Virginia Tech, Old D. Virginia Tech's a W team. They got killed by my Vandy last week. They were up 17-7 and Vandy won 34-20. So that means they only scored 3 points after, and Vandy just lit them up. You got Daggio a little pissed, so he made you pay for it. So they're a W team, 24 defense, 300 yards a game. Old D's a B team, 17 defense, 419 yards a game. Old D can easily win this game. BT hasn't shown me anything. Drones hasn't done shit. We'll see, but definitely this is what I call a weak favorite in Virginia Tech here. Ohio State and Ohio. Now, Ohio State, we saw what they did to Texas, beat a Grambling, who's the division team, 70-0. So if we take that out, they beat Texas 14-7. They're laying 32. They have a 7 defense, 392 yards a game, but most of it came against Grambling. Ohio is an E team with a 22 defense, 435 yards, and that they beat West Virginia. So how the hell is this line 32 based on beating Grambling? I don't know where you're getting 32. This line's way too high. My line was 28, and I thought it was too high until I realized Ohio beat West Virginia. And they just shut them down. I think Ohio has a very good defense. We know Ohio State does too. I don't think Ohio wins the game, but I don't think Ohio State's got the quarterback and the offense to put up 32 points here. They didn't do anything against Texas. And I don't see them putting it 62-0 like they usually do against these MAC teams. And the fact Ohio State beat West Virginia, I think they can win. I honestly like Ohio in 38 points. I think that's – now I'm not going to free play it. I might play it very small, but I don't know. I would not play Ohio State in this game. When you beat West Virginia, give them credit. They beat West Virginia, who put up 600 yards the first week. And we know the Rich Rodriguez style. So to beat them handily, I'm not. And I think the line's way too high. I think 32. I don't know where they're getting 32 from. You're including the Grambling score. So you're saying Grambling and Texas are even. Are you insane? You got 14 on Texas. You're going to give 32 to Ohio because you beat Grambling? Yeah, no, Ohio State's not back and they're not ready, and their quarterback still sucks. So I look for Ohio to be very competitive in this game. Notre Dame and Texas A&M, good game here. Notre Dame an E team, 27 defense. A&M's a B team with a 23. They got the quarterback Reed, who's all over the place. Very good quarterback. The spread's 7-48, 426 yards a game for A&M. Notre Dame 314. Again, Notre Dame played Miami, who apparently has a strong defense. And A&M 426. They beat UTSA and somebody else. So this would be their first test. This is revenge for last year. But what I like in the game is A&M because of their quarterback Reed versus Carr, who's a freshman who didn't look very good against Miami. You always, why you win and why you lose is because of your quarterback. Reed's very good quarterback, very hard to tackle. He'll be running all over the place. Okay, so he gets you 17 points. You got 12. That's 29. Can Carr get you 29 points? Couldn't do anything against Miami. And A&M's probably got a better defense. They got a 23 defense. Not maybe as good, but their offense is better. I think this is a close game. I think it comes down to the wire, and you got 13 points in A&M. Go A&M, beat Navy. I mean, that's about all I can say there. Florida LSU, I figured out this game. Both are unders. LSU 7.5, 49.5. LSU's an under team with an 8 defense, 352 yards. Florida is an under team with a 9 defense, 338. Yeah, they lost to South Florida, so the odds of them beating LSU are slim and none. But when you look at the defense, now LSU shut down what we thought was a good Clemson offense, and Florida, but they barely beat El Tech. Were they really that flat? They only scored 27 points on El Tech. So that's why they're an under. They're not scoring. And Florida lost to our South Florida team. So let's look at their defense as a 16 because that's what they lost, 16-15, and LSU. So I think you have two pretty good defensive units here. And I'm not sure Neusmar is as good as we think. He's okay. He didn't light up Clemson, but he didn't light up as El Tech. Were they really flat from beating Clemson that they could barely score on El Tech? I don't know. So I think LSU wins this game. I think it's a close game, but I think I like LSU. Not to take anything away from South Florida. This one's for you, Bobby. Take LSU. Coastal Carolina East against East Car. East Car is 755. East Car is a B team with a 14 defense, 441 yards offense. Coastal Carolina, an under team with a 24 defense, 301 yards of offense. See, I like what I do because I show you the defense. You give up 14 points. I show you the offense. They get 400 yards. Now you can visualize, they can move, and they're a pretty good defense because you want to know when you got a 35 defense you're going against and a 600-yard offense you're taking. Can they score? Well, if they get 500, 600 yards offense, it's a hell yeah, as Stone Cold would say. Coastal Carolina give up 24 a game, but they're only getting 300 yards of offense. East Car, I don't know. Are they a live road dog? I don't know. They could be, but would it surprise you if they lost? Hey, Titus. Well, Bobby Bo always takes LSU. He took LSU against Clemson. He actually came on that day. I haven't seen him in a while, and then he popped in to boast about LSU. And that was 2 weeks ago. But I'm glad he's been busy, he said. He does watch, but he doesn't. Now he can't come on, but tonight he'll watch, especially when we're talking college football, and he'll definitely watch. But I know he's on He's on LSU all the time. Kentucky and Eastern Michigan. Kentucky minus 25, 46 total. They're not a good offense. They don't ever really have good quarterbacks, as we saw from the guy Tennessee took in the draft. And you're like, why are you taking this guy? He sucks. I mean, it's the same thing with some of these quarterbacks they took last year. 7 and 8 and stuff like that. This guy's not very good. Eastern's an over team with a 40 defense, 351 yards of offense. Kentucky with an under team in a 23. So it's a really tough mismatch because you want to play the game over because Eastern's an over team and gives up 40, but Kentucky doesn't get you that points. They just like to run, and like they did against Ole Miss, 27-20. That's a Kentucky game. They play that hard-nosed defense. So a 23 defense, 313 yards, 350. I don't know. I don't know if it's an over or an under. I mean, you'd like to. Kentucky's always an under, and Eastern's always an over. So I don't know what you do with it. Kentucky wins, but I don't know if they can cover. I don't know if they can score 25 points. Iowa against UMass. UMass, the second worst team in Division I, a Z team with a 35 defense. They only get 211 yards of offense. Iowa under team with a 20 defense and 284 yards. So typical Iowa. However, they played Iowa State close. Now, off of the loss, they're at home to UMass. They should kill them because they're pissed for losing to Iowa State, right? So if they're pissed for losing to Iowa State, this should definitely – but you got to lay 34, and in our world, 28. It's a tough road to hoe to they should handle the 28, especially at home, especially after the loss, and especially that UMass has a 35 defense. So I think Iowa gets the win. They'll probably win 42-0 or something like that. They don't score in the 50s, Iowa, too often. LTAC, New Mexico State, both are under teams. LTAC is 10-42. They played LSU pretty good last week. New Mexico State's an 8 defense, which is bullshit. LTAC is an 11. New Mexico State, 300 yards of offense. And here's your problem. LTAC only 185 yards of offense. Now, LSU must have this fantastic defense. They held Clemson to nothing, and they held LTAC to nothing. 185 yards. By mistake, you hit a couple of big plays. So they're laying 10. This smells an awful lot like an under. You got a 42 total. You got an 8 and 11 defense. We don't know how accurate they are, but against each other, it kind of makes sense. LTAC 185. New Mexico State could be a live dog, getting 10 up to 16 with a team that only gets 185 yards of offense, but they did hold LSU to 27. So smells like an under. I'm gonna circle that under. Doesn't mean I'm playing it. It's something I think about. That could be a play, but when I look at all my plays, I probably throw them out going, well, I got better ones. So I rank my plays and I want to take the top 10, even though I got 15 or 16. Vanderbilt, South Carolina. Daggio. Vandy's an A team with 11 defense, 466 yards a game. Lenore's, South Carolina, is a B team because they don't score as much with an 11 defense, 291 yards of offense. Daggio should hang in the game. They could easily win because it's Daggio. Norris, great runner and quarterback, decent passer. But so here's how you look at it. Because Vandy has 466 yards, now they played Virginia Tech, so it wasn't just a high school team. And you're sitting there and they put up 34 on them, and you just say Vandy could win the game. They could easily getting 12 with Daggio. He's going to get you touchdowns. So that's why I like quarterbacks, because they make us money. right? They win, they cover for us. That's why when I say I like a quarterback and I don't, Lamar blows a 15-point lead because he can't read the defense and doesn't know what he's doing. Josh Allen wins the game. Mahomes is a home dog this week. And we know Mahomes makes us money. So when you get a Dagio Pavia who makes us money, that's what we like about him. This is about gambling. This is about making money. This is not about, well, we like Lamar and he's, MVP. Yeah, but he sucks. He doesn't complete games. And, if you bet Baltimore, I think you won. No, you're laying 1.5 and they won. They lost the game. So again, Lamar cost you with a 15-point lead. He cost you the game again. There's no way they should have lost that game. The handoff to Henry that got fumbled should never, like, what are you looking at, Lamar? Can't you see there's 5 guys standing in front of him and you hand him the ball? The odds of him fumbling are probably like 95%. That's the best play you could. So instead of pulling it away from him and going outside to the other end and he's going to be wide open and you're going to win the game, you can't think that fast. This is the problem with Lamar. He can't recognize the defense. He can't change the play. He doesn't know what he's going. He's a great athlete, but he's stupid. He doesn't know how to read it. That play should have been read. If I give the ball to Henry, he ain't doing anything. I'm going to fake it to Henry, go the other way, and nobody's going to stop me from getting 10 yards. And that would have been the game. Nope, but he doesn't do that. He blows more 10-point leads, and he costs more money, not to me because I won't play with him. He costs more money. All right. So Daggio, very live dog, Daggio. Navy Tulsa, Navy A team, 15 defense. Tulsa B team, 14 defense. The spread, Navy 14-53. Navy's a good team this year, got a good quarterback. But my Army went and won the game last week over Kansas State. Give Army credit. Great coach in Army. Navy 500 yards a game and mostly running, and Tulsa 361. It's a big number. Navy 14 is. We don't know Tulsa that well. Again, you're playing a Division II team, and you're playing who knows who on your Division I. So I don't know. Navy wins the game. It's just, can they cover 8 or not? That's why they call it gambling, of course. Duke and Tulane. Now, this spread has moved. Duke is now a 1.5-point favorite, 54. Duke's an over team with a 31 defense. They get 482 yards a game. Their quarterback, Manshew from Tulane, is very good. However, they're playing Tulane this week, so they will know this quarterback. They're an 18 with a 17 defense, getting 400 yards a game. Tulane started as a 3-point favorite. I really don't know why Duke's the favorite in this game. Defensively, Duke is not all there. Tulane is. Tulane, I think, is the better team, or this is a pick 'em. You get the points. The total is 54. Tulane scores. Duke, 480 yards of offense. Listen, I wouldn't be surprised if Tulane wins. I don't know why the money's shifted, and I think the total's low. But Tulane does play pretty good defense, but I think if anybody knows how they play, is the quarterback from last year knows the Tulane defense. Utah, Wyoming. Utah, an 18, 10 defense, 480 yards of offense. And I'm going to say the best quarterback in college football, who should be the number 1 pick. Wyoming, an under team with a 4 defense, beat Akron 10-0, and Akron's a Z team. 391 yards for Wyoming. Utah, they're laying 23 and a total of 48. This Dampier is so fucking good. He's a very highly skilled running back that zigs and zags. You can't tackle him. Oh, by the way, but he can throw it. These are my favorite quarterbacks because this is the same as Washington's quarterback. You can't really defend him, but he's there to throw. But if it breaks down, he can run for 20 yards on you, but not like a running quarterback. He's a good thrower too. That's the rear that we're looking for. You find that quarterback, we make a big profit, right? So Utah here laying 23, 17 over Wyoming with their whopping 10 points on Akron. Oh my God. They beat Akron 10 to nothing. You got to be kidding me. Akron, by the way, has a 39 defense, right? So, yeah, I mean, Utah all the way here. Utah, we're going to pound. As long as Dampier is healthy, we're getting revenge for Cam Rising, and we're just going to bet this guy. And don't forget their defense is a 10 defense. It's a real 10 defense. All right, so Utah, I have in the playoff as the number 1 seed. Utah's the best team in college football. It's not even close, right? Oh, Ohio State beat Texas. Ohio State cannot beat Utah. Utah's got the defense and the much better quarterback than whoever Ohio State's quarterback is. It's really not close. Utah is the best team. I'd say Washington's next, and I say USC's up there, and Missouri is up there. We'll see if Georgia, Tennessee, the winner, probably Georgia is certainly up there always. Vandy, and we'll see about the A&M Notre Dame winner, Florida, LSU. LSU's got to be up there. But I just love how it's got to be Michigan and Ohio State and Oregon. How the fuck are they up there? How is Ohio State number 1? All right, you play against Utah, and you have Ohio State -7. I'm betting the farm on Utah +13. All right, Akron and UAB. UAB an over team, 40 defense, 458 yards a game. Akron, the Z team, 39 defense, 200 yards a game. Go UAB, beat Navy in this one. The Air Force, 3.5, 51 to Utah State. Utah State's not bad this year. Brocken Mendenhall is the coach. He's a good coach. Air Force is an A team with a 13 defense. Utah State's an E team with a 30. 300 yards offense to Utah State, 379. When a team's bad, it's always they have no quarterback and they have no yards, and therefore they're not going to score. And then their defense gets worn out, and then their defense starts giving up a lot. So you keep an eye on the quarterback, you keep an eye on the offense, and that's who you're betting on, which is exactly why I say, UAB, 458 yards of offense. Here you got Air Force, 379, Utah State, 300. So it shows me Air Force can get 379. Even if they're playing high school teams, they're not playing. They did play 1 against a high school team. So even with that, you're still looking at 379, 300. So they're only laying 3.5. BC, Stanford, BC 10 and 44. BC's an over team with the 26 defense. They lost a tough game to Michigan State last week. 411 yards of offense. The quarterback's a freshman, looked pretty good against Michigan State. Stanford's a W team, 25 defense, but they only get 224 yards. I would be on BC in this game, except for they're flying all the way from Boston to Stanford. That's a tough flight, and I have a hard time betting East Coast teams going west or West Coast teams going east. So if USC were to play Maryland, I would have a hard time playing USC or Washington. However, if Maryland flew to USC or Washington, I would have no problem playing USC and Washington to bury them. Very difficult, that long plane ride for BC. But Stanford does suck. Minnesota Cal, Minnesota an A team, 5 defense, 420 offense with the freshman quarterback. Cal, an A team with a 9 defense and 400 yards of offense. So you got 2 good teams here. Again, you got Minnesota flying to the West Coast. And there was a team called, I think it was Clemson, it was Miami. They flew to Cal last year, and Cal had them beat and let them off the hook. But Cal played them very, very well. And here you got Minnesota coming in as the favorites. I wouldn't sleep on Kale here. In our last game, Texas State, Arizona State. Texas State, an over team. We love the coach. They always score a bunch. We had them as a over with UTSA, and they went like into the 80s. 32 defense, which is fine. 530 yards of offense. Arizona State, a B team, 22 defense, 400 yards of offense. You're going to see a lot of points in this game. That's all I can say. So that be college football. Your free pick, USC or USC over. It's. I found one and then I analyzed it and found it even better. Probably going on the over. So either way, or put them together if you want. That's my free pick. David, what do you think of J.J. McCarthy? I don't know. I didn't see a whole lot that made me say this guy's Joe Montana. A lot of his comeback was running the ball, and that shit goes away once you start blitzing this guy. Look at Caleb. I thought he started out strong and he ended very weak. He ran in for the touchdown. I mean, these guys like Daniel Jones running in for the touchdown, and what the coaches think that's good, that's not good. They'll take that away. The defensive coordinators, they are pretty stupid, but Minnesota didn't blitz the first quarter on Chicago, and Caleb goes 10 for 10, and then they said fuck this, and he blitzed 5-6 guys every down, and Caleb couldn't complete a pass. Once you kind of take his run away from him, and at the end they let him go right down the field, they didn't blitz, they barely rushed. So it's very strange defense at these. You just wonder how fixed these games are when the defensive coordinator lets them walk down the field. There was one, I think it was in that game, they didn't even rush anybody. They had 11 guys back. What is the coach thinking? I'd fire him right there. What do you obviously don't know how to be a defensive coordinator. You don't let them have 11 because you've got defensive linemen out there, and why don't they take the sidelines away? What was that one game? The guy throws a 30-yard out, and then they said there's 1 second left. I don't know which game it was. And they said, I think it was what was I watching Sunday? The Lions Green Bay game. I don't know. It was something where, no, maybe the night game. But anyway, he throws it. The guy lets him get out of bounds. No. You don't let him get out of bounds. I don't know. And then I think it's terrible, these games, because it's not that the guy catches the ball and he goes out of bounds. There's 1 second on the clock. It's the natural flow of the clock. So it doesn't stop the second he goes out. It keeps going. It should have been, there's no more time. You can't fuck around like that and just say, well, it says 1, so we'll go with 1. No, it said 0. The game was over because the clock operator doesn't stop the clock the second he goes out of bounds. It's a natural flow. So these games are all fucked up. These guys don't know what the hell they're doing. All right, NFL. I did my homework. It's all set. Let's go to the lines. So we're quickly going to do the lines and we'll go there. Okay, Green Bay 3.5, 48.5. Miami 1.5, 43.5. Cincinnati 3.5, 48.5. That's your free play, by the way. 3.5. Yeah, they're all 3.5. Baltimore 12.5, 45.5. Dallas 5.5, 44.5. The Rams 5.5, 41.5. Buffalo 7, 46.5. Let me check that because they give me one casino. Yeah, there's 6.5. The only one was 7. So it's a 6.5. Yeah, that's bullshit. The 7. Detroit 5.5, 47.5. Pittsburgh 3, 40.5. San Francisco 4.5, 42.5. Well, this started at 7, 4.5. Well, that one got. Is Purdy playing? Is McCaffrey playing? We got to check the injury. Arizona 6.5, 44.5. Denver 2.5, 42.5. Philadelphia 1.5, 46.5. 1, 1, 1.5, 1. Yeah, mostly 1s and 1.5s. Minnesota 3.5, 44.5. Let's see. I think there's probably some 4s. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to make it 4. Tennessee or Houston 2.5, 42.5. And San Diego 3.5, 46.5 to Oakland Monday night. Is there 4s, 3.5s, 3.5s? No, they're all 3.5s. Okay. That's your line. Why don't we take a quick look at the injuries to see what the hell's going on in the 49er game? See, that leads you to the injuries, right? When you see the line go from 7 to 4.5, question is, of course, why? The only answer is injuries. All right, well, let's look at the injuries. All right. Nothing yet. Today's Wednesday. They should show up later, but I'm getting no injuries to report. They haven't. I think they report them tonight. Let's see if we got anything on San Francisco. Green Bay, because they play tomorrow. Nothing on Green Bay. Frisco, yeah, no injuries. Okay, so we'll get this tonight, and I'll report back to you tomorrow, unless somebody's got something on McCaffrey or Purdy. Sounds like a McCaffrey injury. Washington, they're all healthy. So Washington and Green Bay, pretty much everybody's healthy. There's really no injuries to report. Gold 36.47 as I can't resist passing by and not checking in. Okay, so let's start tomorrow night. We got Green Bay 3.5, 48.5. Daniels against Love. We got Washington right now. Now I am doing this as week 1. It's all pros, so week 1, and it's a very sketchy. This is what they are at this point, but we know it's not really it, but maybe it is. We don't think it is. Washington's an under team with a 6 defense, holding the Giants to 6. 453 yards of offense for Daniels against Green Bay, an A team with a 13 defense, 266 yards of offense by the Lions. So it's a pretty good defense. Love and Daniels. Daniels is better. Do you go under in this game? Is Washington really this strong defensive team? This is why I say I don't know yet. They held the Giants with Russell Wilson. After this game, then we'll see if Washington holds them to 15 points or so. Then, yeah, now they're an A team, but they have a defense, and we know they have an offense. So I'm calling them an under, but really they're kind of an A team. They gave up 6 points. They won like 24 to so was the score, 21-6. So it's an under team in that sense, but it's really an A team. because we know how good Daniels is. So we'll see. Green Bay added, of course, Micah Parsons. So we don't know what they are now. They gave up 13 to the Lions. Was it Micah Parsons? Was it Green Bay's defense? Was it the Lions being inept because their coordinator sucked? We'll have to see. Green Bay 3.5, 48.5. Based on what happened, I don't see how I can play the over. I got a 6 defense and a 13 defense, so I got to be careful going over. Yet maybe in week 5 this is an overplay, but right now I can't go over, and that's what I'm trying to differentiate out is the week 1 stats from what we know the team is. Is Washington really this strong defense now? The Giants they didn't play Scatterboo that much. Russell Wilson and Neighbors didn't do shit. So I don't know. Green Bay, Love puts up 27 on the Lions. They have no secondary, and Hutchinson he wasn't even there. He just kind of danced around in the back trying to not get his knee hurt. So I don't know. It's tough because this is what I hate. It's Thursday night. Can Washington travel on Thursday night to Green Bay and go and win? But if it was Sunday, it would be an easy one. But that's the problem with Thursday night. Cleveland, Baltimore. Cleveland, an under team, 17 defense. 327 yards of offense against Cincinnati. Baltimore, an over team because they played Baltimore and they played to 100. 41 defense, 432 yards of offense. Flacco against Lamar. Baltimore is 12-45. What do you do with this? Is Baltimore? I can't lay 12 with Baltimore. They can't finish a game off. Every once in a while they put up a 50, and you never know when it's going to be. They did it against Denver, the one team I never would have thought I would know. They'd blow out Denver. But Baltimore, terrible coach, good defense, good offense, terrible quarterback. They need a better one. Not that they need a better one. They need a smarter one that they can rely on, and they need to move Lamar to wide receiver. If Lamar's wide receiver and you actually had a good quarterback in there, they wouldn't have lost to Buffalo. Never. Anybody can hand the ball to Henry and watch him score touchdowns. It's a big number, and Cleveland's in the division. They play each other twice a year. You can't lay 12 points in the division. The fact they blew the lead is not, that's more disbelief. So Baltimore, are they pissed? Not necessarily pissed. The way they lost, they blew the game. So I don't know if they're mad or like, how the hell did we lose the game and trying to get over it? So I'm not laying 12 points. I'm not laying 18 points. I'm not laying 6 points. I don't know. I can't believe they lost the game. But on the other hand, yeah, I can. It's par for the course. Seattle, Pitt 3-40. Seattle, an under team, lost 17-13 to the Niners. Pitt, an over team, played the Jets's 34-32, which was mostly on Fields, got 2 running touchdowns. So he's back to that shit that he used to do at the Bears. You got to question the Jets coach that he's going with Fields in the first place. He doesn't know what he's doing. The defense obviously sucks. Aaron Rodgers, 4 touchdown passes in a game. Didn't do that at all last year. Jets with the very weak defense. Buffalo, 6.5, 46.5. Allen against Fields, a total mismatch. Buffalo, 40 defense, 497 yards. The Jets, 34 defense and 394 yards against Pittsburgh, which is very impressive. Is that the real Jets? But Buffalo never really has that strong of a defense. So I think Buffalo wins the game, but we got to see what this Fields is. Is he going back to this shit? San Francisco, New Orleans. San Francisco is 4.5, 43. Is everybody healthy? Why did it go down from 7? Frisco, an under team with 13 defense, 384 yards of offense. New Orleans, a W team with a 20 defense, 315 yards. Rattler against Purdy, 300 yards against Arizona, who I didn't realize was such a strong defensive team. So I'm not sure what to make of that. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Frisco. Until we find out the injury, if it's McCafferty, I can't take him. And then maybe it's an under, So we got to see the injury. New England and Miami. Miami's 1.5, 44. New England is a W team. Obviously, no offense, 20 defense, 336 games, 336 yards a game offensively. Drake May against the Z team Miami gave up 33 to fucking Indy. 211 yards was all they got offensively against Indy, who does not have a good defense. May against Tag. Pathetic against pathetic. Z team should never be favored. So if you get a Z team favorite, it's an automatic play against that. So probably New England is the play there. Maybe, I don't know if it's an under because Miami has a 33 defense. But good luck betting this game. This is really one of the games you probably just run away from. But New England could be a live dog just because Miami is what I call a weak favorite, right? Teams that should not be favored like this is what you bet against. You just hope you got a strong enough dog. The Rams in Tennessee. The Rams 5.5, 41. Stafford against Ward. The Rams are an under team. A 9 defense, that's real, and 296 offense, which is good because you did it against Houston. Tennessee, a W team. A 20 defense and 133 yards. Cam Ward gets 133 against Denver. The only reason they stayed in the game was Bo Nix, I think, threw 3 or 4. I think it was 3 picks and a fumble. It was like 4 turnovers. It's the only reason the game was even close. But, okay, Nix struggled a little bit. They'll clean that up. I'm not worried at all. Chicago, Detroit. Chicago, an over team, 27 defense, 317 yards of offense. And Caleb goes against Detroit, who's a W team, 27 defense, 246 yards of offense. They got Micah Parsons. He's not that good. It was his first week, and he just got there 3-4 days before. I can't give that much credit to him. I give the credit to the offensive coordinator, who sucks. And Golf against Caleb. Golf's obviously better because Caleb's terrible. But Detroit with only 246 yards of offense and gives up 27 to Green Bay. And Jordan Love's not that good. So I don't know. You got to now. What do we take out from Minnesota game? Is Chicago all that? Well, they scored a touchdown, and then they got a pick 6, and then they scored a late running touchdown by Caleb because they didn't rush anybody. Detroit, they were getting blown out. The only reason they scored was a fluke. The guy's out of bounds, and they gave it to him and late in the last 2 minutes of the game, where they were really getting blown out. Do we go over there? See, this is where I don't know. Again, we don't have information on Detroit. We have last year with a different offensive coordinator who is now on the Bears, who will know the Lions offense inside and out. The Bears will know how to defend it. Again, just they're gonna run left, and you come up and do what Green Bay did, put pressure into the backfield, and that ended the running game. That's why the Lions didn't have any runs over like 10 yards, I don't think. So that's really the bugaboo. Chicago's head coach was the offensive coordinator, obviously knows the plays and the players and knows how to just get Goff off the slap. They have a very good defense, but they had a lot of injuries last week. The Bears, a couple of 3 cornerbacks were out. Now, I don't know if they're all starters, but I think 2 of them were. Well, are they back? And that's the problem. Because Normally they have a shutdown defense. This would be an easy bet. I don't know what Detroit's going to do, and without the offensive coordinator, and the new one is terrible. Um, in Chicago, just because he was a quarterback under some of these coaches doesn't make him a good offensive coordinator. Um, I don't know, Caleb. I'm not sold on him. Detroit will blitz him, although Hutchinson just stands there. He doesn't blitz anymore because he's afraid of his leg. As I told you, he might be out there, but he's not ready. He'll be ready in October. So these games he's playing in, he's not doing anything. He's trying to not get hurt. He's just sitting back, like trying to protect his leg. If you see him, he's not going to go out and make all these sacks. That ain't going to happen. So we'll see. The Bears did play him pretty well last year, Thanksgiving. Detroit, I don't trust their offense now. They have the weapons, but you don't have the coordinator. The guy calling the plays isn't there. And then teams figuring them out. Green Bay put pressure on Goff. He got sacked 4 times. You don't have the center, and both guards are new. So it's Detroit isn't the same team. I don't know. I looked at their schedule. They might win 3 games, and 2 of them will be the Bears, and the other one's the Giants. And that's it. They got KC, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Good luck. Maybe they beat Cleveland, and I'm not sure after what Cleveland did to Cincy, I don't think they can beat Cleveland. I think Detroit wins 3 games, and I think that's all they can win. They don't have that easy Jacksonville and Indy and Tennessee to play, or Carolina. No. They got the real teams, and they might not. They might only win 3 games, judging by what they did at Green Bay. And then if J.J. McCarthy's any good, which I doubt, but maybe, they're not going to beat Minnesota, and they ain't going to beat Green Bay. Philly, Baltimore, Kansas City losing. They could go 0-2. Yeah, they're not going to beat Kansas City. They'll be pissed, and they'll want to come back. So I don't know. Detroit off of a loss at home, but the Bears are not a Z team. So I know they're an O team. My guess is you can go over on it, but that's a bad guess right now because I don't know that Detroit has an offense. All right, Dallas and the Giants. The Giants are a Z team with a 21 defense, 242 yards of offense. They're in big trouble. Russell Wilson looked bad. Okay, but why didn't he play in the preseason? This is just amazing, these coaches. We're not going to play the players now when we look like shit the first 2 or 3 weeks. We can use the excuse we didn't play them in the preseason. Yeah, that's really getting them ready for the regular season. You can play 2 or 3 series in the preseason against the other team's third stringers and not worry about injury. Dallas, an E team, 6-44 is the line. The Giants, a Z team with a 21 defense, 242 offense. Dallas, an E team with a 24 defense, 370 yards. Dak against Russell Wilson. Normally, Russell Wilson is much better than Dak. Dak is hitting CD Lamb, as he showed you against Philly. They played them pretty strong. Here they get the Giants, team they usually beat. And the Giants, until Russell Wilson starts putting up points, you got to look at it as a Z team. They don't have any offense. And they got to start playing Scatterboo. You don't keep him on the bench if you want to win. What are you doing? He's your best running back, not this Tyson guy or whoever the hell he is. Jacksonville, Cincinnati, here's your free play. Since he's only 3.5, 49, take Cincinnati. Jacksonville is terrible. I don't care. Who did they beat? Oh, Carolina. That's like beating a Division II team in college, right? So Jacksonville I got as a B team with the 10 defense, which is bullshit. 378 a game, which is bullshit. That's what you do when you play Carolina. Since he's an under team with a 16 defense and 141 yards. And that's where you question, is it Cleveland or is it since he wasn't ready? And I think it was Cleveland. He had trouble hooking up with Chase. A lot of balls he just threw out of bounds. Lawrence against Burrow, huge edge to Burrow. Now, they did get the win Jacksonville, we know, does not have a 10 defense. And we know they don't have 378. Most of it was running. It was not passing. Lawrence didn't do shit. And so Cincy at home, and you get 2.5 in the teaser. So that's why I liked it free. I'm just looking at the spread should be 6 or 7, and you're putting too much credit on them beating Carolina, and they're at Cincy, who did win at Cleveland, who looks like they must have a hell of a defense to hold my Cincinnati to 141. I mean, you just on a few lucky plays, you're going to throw a 70-yarder to Chase. So I don't know, but it was a lot of Cleveland doing it, and they put pressure on Burrow, and whatchamacallit, got some sacks. Whoever the defensive end is, why I always forget. Arizona, Carolina, Arizona 6.5, 44. Carolina is the Z team, obviously. 26 defense, 255 yards of offense, and Steve Young. Arizona, an under team with the 13 defense and 276, Kyler Murray. Well, Murray's 10 times better than Steve Young. Again, you got very low offenses, but Carolina with the 26 defense. They have a terrible defense. So, I don't know, 6.5. Do you go under? Do you take Arizona? One thing is you can't take Carolina at all. And then you really don't know because Arizona could put up a big number against this shit defense. We'll see. So is Arizona's defense really at 13? We know Carolina's is really at 26. Denver and Indy. Denver 2.5, 42. Denver a B team. 12 defense, which is real, and a 317 yards, which is probably a little bit low. Goes against Indy, an A team with an 8 defense, 418 yards of offense. Daniel Jones against Knicks. Knicks is 50 times better. This is the problem because they beat Miami, who apparently just really sucks. Indy's defense is not an 8, and Indy's offense is not a 418. They didn't even know how to guard running quarterback. Well, I guarantee you, Denver with the number 1 defense knows what to do. Let's see. Tennessee got 133 yards of offense on Denver. Denver with the 12. So Indy, their defense looks better because they played Miami, and their offense looks better because they played Miami. So that tells you how bad Miami is. So Miami's a Z team, and that's what you expect. So I mean, if Denver doesn't win this game, I'll be shocked. Daniel Jones, they'll be ready for the running quarterback. They held Cam Ward in check. He didn't do shit in the game. Look for Denver's defense to win it here. Jones, because Jones is just going to try to run, and he won't run, and then, oops. Oh, he has to pass to beat us? Oh, he can't do that. All right. Game of the week, Philly 1.5, 46 to Kansas City. In Kansas City. Kansas City off a loss. We have the Tom Brady rule. Anytime Kansas City's a home dog, we don't think. We just do it. Don't think, just do, Richter. You got to just take Kansas City in 7.5, let the cards fall where they will. But I mean, this is just a no-brainer. I mean, you take Mahomes in 7.5 off of a loss at home. Not only are they off of a loss, but they're a home dog. All right, Philly won in the Super Bowl. Okay, great. Believe me, Kansas City's looking at this one. They lost by 6 to San Diego. Philly beat Dallas by 6 or something. Philly's not going to 40 to nothing. In the Super Bowl, you get a little carried away. That's not going to happen here. Both teams are E. Philly with the 20 defense, 302 yards of offense against Dallas without Micah Parsons. KC, an even team, 27 defense, 347 yards of offense, and Mahomes. I will take Mahomes as a home dog. I'll take him as a dog anytime, but as a home dog anytime. You gotta take Mahomes. That's why he's Mahomes. If it was Lamar, we might take Philadelphia here, but No, you just Mahomes is a home dog, and there's nobody that's going to blow them out at home. So they might lose by 3 or they might lose by 4. I have a feeling you're going to look up and it's going to be 21-0 Kansas City in the second quarter, right? Going, I'm glad I took Mahomes as a home dog because you don't want to think, you can't think this. You can't go, well, Philip beat him in the Super Bowl, therefore they'll beat him in KC. You cannot think like that. They are a home dog. You must put it in proper perspective. KC's a home dog, and they're coming off of a loss. They do not lose 2 in a row very often. You will get a great effort, and they, by the way, have the revenge from the Super Bowl. And in the Super Bowl, KC was the favorite there, right? So that's all I'm saying. You must take them as a home dog. Hey, Todd. I went 12-2 on my 3-ticket 18 teasers. Winning 1, loss was KC and Detroit. Yeah, I played the under in the KC game when it went to 3. I played Detroit over. I knew enough with the new offensive coordinator. He sucks. You can see it in the preseason. So I'd be very careful with Detroit now. They're not the same team. This offensive coordinator is terrible. Golf is terrible, and Green Bay knew all their plays, right? As soon as they ran left, all the defenders came up, and they couldn't get 5 yards rushing the ball. And Golf got exposed to, if you can't play action, he sucks, which is why the Rams got rid of him. When Todd Gurley got hurt, the Rams said, this guy's useless. He can only do it on a play action. And if you can't play action, Golf, you saw the one sack by Micah Parsons where he ran over and got him and nailed him. And that affects Golf. He gets sacked like that, he starts crying. He's a crybaby. Titus, last year you had the Green Bay Commanders over and won it. Yeah, but I got to be careful with that because I don't know what Washington is. They held the Giants to 6. Are they really that strong defensively? And Green Bay now has Micah Parsons, so it's not that easy to just go over. We saw them both as overs last year, but again, this is the change. This is the variables changing. So I can't just sit there and go over with the game. I haven't thought of a play on a total yet, but I'm not going to play it over. 48.5 to 42.5. It might go over. But with Micah Parsons, and they held Detroit to 13, and Green Bay and Washington held the Giants to 6. We got to see who we got yet before we just start playing them over. So they're not an over right now. That's why I'm doing it. I got them as an under, actually. We got Daniels, but maybe they run more. I don't know. That's what we gotta feel out. I had to play over. Last week, I had Washington, the Giants over, and I got burned. I didn't get there. Hi, Nick. How are you? Thank you. Swept the board. UNLV, Ravens over. Yeah, that was my lock. Steelers. Yeah, I had them. Kansas, that was my free play. That was my other lock. My other locks were Denver, Cincinnati, and Baltimore over, and Kansas. And the Bengals, yeah, I had the Bengals. Well, that was my lock. The Bengals, Baltimore over, and Kansas. The only other lock was Denver. You missed. And the Commanders, liking Raiders over this week. Hey, Todd. Yes, Kittle is on IR, and I'm taking KC again as a home dog. Yeah, KC, this is a whole different world. You still have Mahomes and Kelsey. You still have Andy Reid and Spagnuolo, and they're off of a loss, what do they have, one loss last year? They don't like to lose, and they don't lose often. And there's a reason they don't lose often. And I'm not afraid of Philly. Philly lost a lot of their defensive players. Now, again, the idiot, what's his name, spit on the guy. What was it? Why are